Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Call Wednesday webinar series. This session is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch back on YouTube when it's uploaded to the Call YouTube channel in a couple of days. Really good to see everybody here today, and we are going to be thinking about low-cost digital visual supports today, and we are delighted to have, dialing in from all the way across the Atlantic, Beth from LessonPix. Beth is going to speak for around 20-ish minutes, and then we'll have some time left at the end for any questions. We'll finish at 4:30. Any questions you do have, please type them into the chat box as we go along, and you'll find that sort of lurking behind the purple chevron at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Just click on the speech bubble. Okay, so really looking forward to hearing what Beth's got to tell us about LessonPix. So I'll hand over to you. Thanks very much, Beth.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And yes, it was a really quick hop over the Atlantic Ocean, thanks to the wonders of technology. So my name is Beth Poss, and I am the Director of Educational Programs with LessonPix, and I'm thrilled to be able to talk to all of you today about LessonPix as a resource for finding and creating low-cost visual supports and much, much more as well. So I'm going to take us on a very brief tour of some of the features of LessonPix. I'm going to show you all very quickly how easy and simple it is to create materials in LessonPix. And then I will look forward to any questions that you all have. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all so that you can see what I'm looking at. So again, welcome to LessonPix. I do have a very, very brief overview that I will put that slide deck in the chat just so that anybody who cares for it, I think I got that in there. I have no idea how. Not quite sure if I got that posted in the chat or not, but we will see if I managed to do that or not. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I got it now. I'm so used to Zoom and not as used to this tool, but I will get there. And so let me just very briefly introduce LessonPix. The website is lessonpix.com. Very easy and simple. That's Pix with an X. Very easy and simple to get to. We are an online virtual tool for creating materials for communication, learning, and to support behavior. I have absolutely no idea how this translates into euros or into other currency that you all might be using over there in the UK or in Scotland. But we are $36 a year in US dollars, which comes out to about the cost of one McDonald's coffee a month. So very, very inexpensive. We very purposefully keep LessonPix very inexpensive so that individuals, therapists, centers, schools, etc., can all afford to be able to utilize it. I'm going to go through a really brief rundown of some of the features of LessonPix, and then I'm going to flip over into LessonPix and show you all how easy it is to use. So some of the things to know, all you do to create materials is select those images, choose a template, and then either print or use it digitally. We do have interactive features of LessonPix, including the ability to have interactive games with our PowerPoint add-on. We have those same play tools that are available in PowerPoint are also available as standalone tools, and I'll have an opportunity to show those briefly to you today. We pride ourselves on the fact that our images show the diversity of the individuals that we work with and the world around us, including individuals with disabilities featured in our images. We do have high contrast images. So if you are working with individuals who have low vision or cortical visual impairment, we do have a high contrast image library. And we have the ability that you can take any image in our image library. Not all of our images are high contrast as they stand in the library, but you can actually go into our customization tools and make any image a high contrast image. We also have the ability, in addition to all of the images, and we have well over 60,000 images in our image library, but you can also use text as an image. We know there are times that you don't necessarily want a visual, a pictorial visual, and you want text instead. And we have some wonderful relationships with other companies, including Don Johnston Incorporated, and we have materials that align with their literacy and curriculum program, Readtopia, including an entire set of completely free at no cost to anyone, even if you are not a LessonPix subscriber, communication boards that align with Readtopia curriculum, and actually are well aligned with pretty much any curriculum program that would be out there that is exploring typical themes that learners encounter in school. We also have a relationship with Pranky Romick Corporation, and we have all of their Unity and LAMP symbols in our image library, and that's on top of our 60,000 images that we have of our own. And so just as in a very brief way to just sort of be able to give you an overview of some of the features that I might not get to talk to all of those in the time that we are exploring today. So let me go ahead. I'm in our tool right now. Again, it's LessonPix.com. You can go on to LessonPix, play around with it. Anything that you try to create will have a great big LessonPix watermark on it, but all of those features and tools are available to go in and play with. And so let me go ahead and really quickly take us into our clipart tool so that I can show you exactly how easy it is to create materials and resources. All of our images are organized in folders via category, but you can always go in and search for any image that you're looking for. But I'm just going to go through, and you'll kind of, as you see scrolling through, you're going to see some categories that you might find interesting to check out on your own. But given that it is the beginning of the school year, and students have been headed back to school, at least in the United States. They've been headed back to school the last few weeks. I figured I'd go ahead and create a quick resource around a theme of school. So I think one of the things that students enjoy the most at the beginning of the school year is getting all their brand new school supplies. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we might create a resource around that theme of school supplies. So I'm going to go into our school supply folder, and let's go ahead and get some images in here. So we would definitely need to have a backpack. Now, to create materials in LessonPix, we need to get those images in our tray. To get those images in the tray, we simply click on that plus sign. So let's get a few more. We're certainly going to get some books. Oh, we definitely might have a calculator. There's an example of one of our custom high contrast images just for you to see right there. We certainly might get some chalk and some colored pencils and composition notebooks and crayons. Oh, and we all love our dry erase markers and our erasers. We definitely would have at least 1 or 2 folders and some glue and a glue stick. And let's just grab a few more images that we might want, some more things that we might want, like some markers and a notebook and a pen and a pencil and a pencil case, and definitely a ruler and some scissors. So I have a whole bunch of images in my tray at this point. I actually want kind of like a generic image that I'm not seeing. I want an image that is just for school supplies. So let me go ahead and search under images for school supplies and click on that. And I'm going to scroll down. I happen to have checked before. You can see how some of those Unity images are showing up in my search right now. So those are images that are specific to the Unity software. And let's go ahead. I'm going to get that kind of generic image for school supplies right in there. Oh, thank you, Claire. Claire put in the conversion there in pounds for you all, that it's about 26-ish pounds a year. So I have all of my images in my tray and I am ready to create materials. So when I click on that yellow create materials, it takes us into all of our different templates. Now we have a few hundred different templates to choose from, and they range from things that support math and science, literacy, games, lots and lots of learning games, fine motor, communication devices, as well as many, many other visual supports. I am going to go ahead and, I don't mean to quite click on that. I am going to go ahead and make this as my, I'm going to go ahead and create this as a checklist, right? We want to make sure that that our learners have all of their school supplies ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and make this as a checklist for those learners so that they know they've got all the school supplies that they're supposed to have ready to go for school. So for that, I'm actually going to go into our picture schedule templates there. So I'm going to choose that picture schedule templates and it takes me in. Now, this is where our picture details are. This is where all our images are. And they are in the order that I loaded them into the tray. Now I can easily rearrange. For my purposes right now, it probably isn't going to make a difference, but I can quickly click and drag to rearrange. I can also change the text on any of these. So if I wanted to change any of these, sometimes we have learners, sometimes in our neck of the woods, we call that a pencil pouch. So if I had wanted to change that to pencil pouch instead of pencil case, I could easily do that just like that. I could change any of those at all, but I'm going to leave those as they are. I can also, this is also where I can translate this into any language that is supported by Google Translate. We know that we have many learners and families for whom English is not the only language spoken. It may not be the primary language spoken in the home. And so we want to make sure that we can support those multilingual learners by being able to translate visual supports and other learning resources into the language that they may also speak. And so that's very easy to do that right in there. Now, if I had wanted to arrange these in a particular order, like maybe I wanted them to be sorted A to Z, I could simply click on that modify list as well there. I'm going to click on next, and this is going to be my school supply checklist. And I have a few different options here for being able to know, for being able to display that, right? So if I was, and this is also perfect for our visual schedules that are going to tell us, you know, help learners transition from one task to another throughout the day. I might want a to-do list type schedule where as everything is done, where I have all of my images Velcroed on here on my to-do list, and as everything is done, I move them over for that. I might want something kind of fun and engaging, like a dinosaur list of things for a particular theme, or a racetrack, where if I start a particular task and when we get around to the end, we have crossed the finish line. But as I said, I want this to be a checklist where I can actually check off the boxes as they are as I've added these to, you know, as I've acquired these or added these to my backpack. Now, I have a number of images in my list here. And the most that we can have on a page is 10 for this particular activity, for this particular layout. Other things, we can have many more images, of course. But even with that, it might be a lot on a page, but I'll go ahead and keep it at 10. That might be fine. I'm going to end up definitely with more than one page there. And I'm going to click Finish. Give it just a second. And now with this, I can easily download this as a PDF. So if I want this as a printable checklist for my learners to be able to have in their hand and take their pen and the pencil and check off that they have got all of their materials that they need for school, I can quickly and easily do that. I can also download this. I'm going to click on our other download formats for just a moment. I can also download this easily, not just as a PDF, but I can also download this easily as a PowerPoint, as a digital file. And I'll show that to you really quickly just so that you can see what that looks like. It's going to look very similar if it was downloaded as a PDF to be printed out. But certainly in a PDF to be printed out, it would be, you know, it would look identical to that, right? Now, I have my 2 pages, which worked out really nicely. I must have had somehow or other just managed to have 20 things on my checklist. But I did want to show you how easy it is to be able to use this as a digital tool. And so I'm going to go into our LessonPix PowerPoint add-in and be able to show that to you right now. So I'm going to open up our add-in. I am going to log into it just the same way I log into my own subscription. And I have all of those images in my tray, but actually for what I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to quickly use a check mark from our Common tab where I could make a whole lot of copies of these to indicate, right, that we have all of our materials. I'd probably need to resize those just a wee bit to be able to have those. So I don't need any design ideas. Thanks, PowerPoint. And to be able to easily come along and utilize that in a digital fashion. So imagine if this was a visual schedule as opposed to a checklist, we'd be able to check off each step of a task or each activity as we were doing them. So lots of different ways that we can use this. We're going to talk a little bit about how we can utilize some of these play tools as well, but I only have a few minutes left in my demonstration, and I do want to go back into LessonPix and show you one more quick thing that you can do with this. So while I have these images in my tray, I want to let you know that I can make many, many more. I can keep continuing and making many more activities. I can also save this tray so I can get back to all of these images at another time. But right now, I have my checklist, but I also need my learners who have communication, who have significant communication needs to be able to talk about this, to talk about all of those school supplies. And so I might also want to be able to create a communication board for them, a fringe vocabulary board that I might use with an existing core vocabulary board. And so this is just one of the different templates that we can use for that. I'm going to go ahead and click next, and I'm going to title this my school supplies fringe vocabulary. Fringe. I'm going to make sure that I choose that I am making a fringe board. It is right there, and I'm probably going to go ahead and have this one be three columns. I'm sorry, 3 rows. Need to make sure and with this I have the option of a grid layout where I can easily rearrange. So I wanted that generic school supply there. This is going to serve as a tab, right? If I have a number of tabbed rows for different boards, and I can give you an example. I know you guys might not be seeing the image of me very well, but I have an example of it that I'm holding up right now, where I can easily have a flip book style where we know what page we're on by that tab at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and click save on that layout, and I am going to finish that up. And it's really that quickly that in the space of about 15 minutes, I have made 2 different materials to be able to utilize with my students or other individuals. I do want to point out that with this I'm going to take you really briefly into our sharing center in just a moment, but if I wanted to share this with others who are our LessonPix subscribers so they don't have to reinvent the wheel, I'd be able to quickly click on that share button and do so. But in the interest of time, I am just going to open this up as a PDF. And I'm actually going to take a quick screenshot of this really, really fast because I want to show you how I might use it with an activity that I already had set up. So as it happened, I had created a book. One of my favorite books to read this time of year. I know an old lady who swallowed some books. Really fun and silly book, but as they go along, she swallows all these crazy school supplies. I already pasted in here a screenshot of one of our core boards, but now I can go ahead and paste in thanks PowerPoint for giving me design ideas that I don't need. I can go ahead and paste in my my fringe vocabulary to go along with that, so that as we are reading this book, So as we are reading this book, we can simply go right ahead, and I could be modeling for my communicators. If I was providing this for a student who did not yet have a robust device, they'd be able to use this as well to talk about that book that they old lady may have put in her belly, right, or in her mouth. So I'd be able to do that. So just this is a book that is in LessonPix that I downloaded as one of those PowerPoint activities. With this, I can actually go over, if I go back into that home button, because I set this up as a matching type activity. So if you remember, we have all of those images that were in our tray. We could actually click on those images and I can have my learners match. I could have them either match, or I could have them predict perhaps, well, what do you think she's going to swallow next? Maybe I would hide that off to the side so they can't see that. What do you think she's going to swallow next? You know, she needs something to put those, if we know this type of a story, she needs something to put those pencil cases in. So we can make this as a very fun activity, completely printable activity as well. If I had printed it, I would have had all of these images to do as my matching activity also. I'm going to stop and take a breath. I want to make sure that I show you one more thing before I pause for questions. And so let me just take you into the sharing center, where you can see that in addition to all of the resources that you can create in LessonPix, you can find materials that others have created. So we know that our time as professionals is valuable, and that we don't always have the time to be able to make materials even as quickly as those images would be, as those materials would be in LessonPix. And so we have a sharing center that is filled quite literally with thousands of materials that LessonPix subscribers have chosen to share. You can search in those materials by a keyword, like if I wanted more old lady books or old lady activities, I could search for that. But I can also search by categories that are that when you save something in the sharing center, you label it by. So I could look for visual schedules. I could look for anything that would be going along, you know, that was in the area that I wanted to have that. I can also search by material types. So if I wanted to see, gosh, you know, it's so quick and easy to make storybooks in this, I could go and find, let's do not just one, our visual schedule stories, but all sorts of stories that people have created to go in the sharing center for LessonPix. I am more than happy to take any questions that you have right now. I'm more than happy also with those questions to pause for a minute and show anyone any of the features that I had briefly described before. But I wanted to make sure that anyone that had questions would be able to ask those. Now, I don't see any in the chat, but I don't know. If somebody has questions that they're waiting for. If not, I will certainly fill those last 7 minutes with some additional, showing you a little more explicitly some of those features that I had shared earlier.
Beth, just while folks are typing their questions in the chat, can I just ask about getting access to LessonPix? So there's no software to download. It's all in an internet browser. Is there a particular browser that LessonPix recommend people should use to access?
It is all browser-based, and it will work well in any browser. We have not had any challenges at all, whether it is Firefox, Safari, Edge, Chrome. We've not had any issues, and we do regularly check to make sure that LessonPix will work well in any browser. I typically use either Safari, Edge, or Chrome sort of interchangeably. I've never had any issues with that at all.
Great, and that's
so a great question.
Just one other wee question as well about the templates. So LessonPix has got lots and lots of templates. I know that a lot of specialist centres in Scotland use communication devices like Big Macs and GoTalks. Are there templates in LessonPix for those devices?
Absolutely. So we have under, if you when you click to create materials, you can see all of the different templates, and these are the different ones that we have. And I'll answer, that was an excellent question that somebody just put up, and I'll answer that in a moment. These are all the different templates that we have. So we have those AbleNet buttons, we have Super Talkers and the Quick Talker, we have all of the adaptivation devices, the AMDI devices, the Cheap Talk, the communication builder, all of the different Go Talks. So that's a good one to be able to show really briefly, where I can choose. There's always, with those communication devices, there'll be a drop-down menu that would be able to do that. So the templates available in A4, that is typically something that you'd be able to do as a print out option. So if you had, if you needed to print that in that format. We do take requests all the time. So that's usually, to the best of my knowledge, Tina, that is a printing option, that you'd be able to have it printed in A4 if you know that that layout is going to best support a particular system that you are working with. And when you went to print that PDF, you could choose A4 as the print layout. Somebody else had asked if can anybody, if you have a login, can anybody in a center? So the response to that is no. Every individual who is accessing LessonPix needs to have their own login for it. We do not allow the sharing of logins. And we make the tool inexpensive enough so that it can that you can afford that. Now we do have group pricing, and so that pricing starts at, that group licensing starts at 10 users and up. So at 10 users, there is a 10% discount. At 25 users, there is a 15% discount, and at 100 users, there is a 20% discount. But every adult who is accessing LessonPix needs to have their own login, as opposed to sharing those logins. So that's a great question as well. I know one thing, oh, you're very welcome, Natalie. I know one thing that I had mentioned before that I didn't touch on was all of our play tools. And so if I go under the Your LessonPix tab, those are all available built in to a PowerPoint. But if I go into LessonPix, into the Your LessonPix tab, I can also look at those as a standalone resource. So for example, we could come up with some sort of a game where we might be spinning to see what we choose. So we've got a spinner, we have a dice, and we have draw cards. I could easily and quickly make this, and I'm happy to take any more questions as you guys are going. I just thought I'd show this really, really quickly. I can quickly and easily make this, for example, into a bingo game as well, because if we are communicating about and learning about, if we are about our school supplies, we might want to have a fun way to play a game with that as well. And so I can quickly and easily create a bingo game or other learning games as well, much more than just bingo. I'd be able to download that as a PDF to be able to print out, or I can simply use this as a virtual activity as well. So I'll show that really briefly, but can you change? I'm not sure what you mean by can you change, Natalie. I can certainly take, I'm just using the same tray that oh, okay. When you get the correct one on there, you can ask that again. So I simply downloaded that as that PowerPoint. I was using Google Slides instead, this would open up in Google Slides easily. I had it set up this way because I like to get both of my bingo boards on the same page. I can then quickly and easily go into my tools, my LessonPix tools. I would grab something to be able to use as my bingo markers. I like the X. Make a few copies of that, and then I would go over to my play tools, and for this I would use the draw cards and be able to quickly and easily play bingo with my learners. I'm happy to answer any more of your questions that you guys might have. I'm available, if anybody would like to, I'll put my personal email. You can always go to help at LessonPix. Can you use the images to reflect the cultural group you may be discussing, Roma and traveling showman? So yes, you can, you can always go to support at LessonPix for any questions that you might have, but somebody had asked, so I can change the pictures. I can't change the picture in the activity once it's created, but if I have created an activity, I can always change out images in my tray. Exactly. So if I wanted to create an activity, I'll take you into like those persons. If there are images that we do not have, like you asked for a particular image set, like it seems the Romas, if we do not have those, you can go to request a picture and we will work with you to create images that meet your specific needs. The same thing with Gil asked about the ASL versus BSL pictures. We do not have British Sign Language pictures. We have a lot of American Sign Language pictures, but we would be happy to work with you on developing a set of American Sign Language pictures. You can also upload your own images to LessonPix. So if you have images that you have saved, you can actually upload your own images. So if there was a set of images for British Sign Language, you could add your own images into LessonPix. And I know we've sort of hit our time. I am not, oh, you're welcome. I am not in a big rush. I can stick around for a few more minutes, but I want to respect everybody's time in their day and in their afternoon. So I'm happy to answer any more questions, but I know some of you may have other plans for your afternoon as it's towards the end of your day. You're very welcome, Roberta.
Thanks, Beth. That was just such a fantastic overview, and it kind of came across just how quick and simple it is to make a resource. Just using the tools that are there, and really interesting to see the PowerPoint sharing as well. If people are wanting to spend a wee bit more time finding out how it all works, is there a place people can go to have a look at tutorials or anything like that?
So, yep, absolutely. I'll share that again. So you can, let me just click on that really quickly. Yep. So absolutely. So if you click on our tutorials tab right here, you will find nice bite-sized digestible information on all of the different features of LessonPix, including a very quick getting started video that's a 2-minute video that will quickly take you through and how to make an activity like those bingo cards. But again, how to use our visual image generator. We have a monthly free webinar training that anybody can sign up for. Usually it's in the afternoons, East Coast time, so might be like around 8 o'clock or so in the evening for your all time, but you can always click on that. And we always have a free or an accessible pre-recorded training on there that you can watch on your own time as well. We also, for our group subscribers, so if you have a group of 25 or more, we do offer a free 1-hour webinar training for your group to get them up and running with LessonPix as well.
That's great. There's a lot to look at and a lot to explore. Thanks very much, Beth, for your time this afternoon. We really appreciate you going through with everyone, and thanks very much to everyone for joining us this afternoon. We'll bring the session to a close here just now, but don't forget, a couple of weeks' time we'll be back at 4 o'clock again on Wednesday, and next time Rachel O'Neill from the University of Edinburgh will be talking about teaching deaf students during the pandemic, about her experiences. I'm sure that will be a really interesting session. So thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Claire. Thanks you guys for having me. Take care, everybody.